What if I told you that your body has its own built-in repair system? It is a system so powerful that it can regenerate damaged tissue, rebuild aging organs, and essentially turn back the clock on your biology, and yet, most people are accidentally starving it every single day. I am not talking about some experimental drug or a procedure you have to fly to another country for. I am talking about your stem cells. Today I am going to show you exactly which foods, when eaten consistently over 30 days, can double the number of circulating stem cells in your bloodstream. Stay with me, because what you are about to learn completely changed the way I look at food, and it will change the way you look at it too. On this platform we discuss the science of the human body in a way that is actually useful. There is no fluff and no fads, just real research you can apply to your life starting today. Before we get into the foods, I want to make sure you understand why this matters so much. Once you grasp what stem cells actually do inside your body, you are going to want to do everything in your power to protect and multiply them. Stem cells are essentially your body's master repairmen. They are undifferentiated cells, meaning they haven't decided what they want to be yet. They can become a heart cell, a brain cell, a muscle cell, or a blood vessel cell, whatever your body needs most. Every single time you experience inflammation, injury, or cellular damage, your body sends out a call and stem cells respond. They travel through your bloodstream to the site of damage and begin rebuilding. The problem is that as we age, our stem cell count drops dramatically. At birth, roughly 1 in every 10,000 cells is a stem cell. By the time you hit 60, that number has dropped to 1 in 2 million. That is not a typo. That is a 200-fold decrease. That is why recovery slows down, why chronic disease becomes more common, and why people feel like their bodies just aren't bouncing back the way they used to. However, here is what the research is now showing us. Your lifestyle, and specifically your diet, has a profound ability to stimulate the production and release of stem cells from your bone marrow into circulation. When you increase those numbers, you start to feel it. Energy improves, recovery speeds up, inflammation drops, and your body literally starts repairing itself more efficiently. So let's talk about how we do that. I want to walk you through this in a way that is practical, because I know you are not just here for theory. You are here because you want to actually use this information. I am going to give you the foods, tell you why they work mechanistically, and explain how to incorporate them, so that over the course of 30 days, you are giving your body every possible advantage to increase that stem cell count. The first food group I want to talk about is dark leafy greens. I know you have heard this before, but I want you to hear it differently today. Specifically, I want you to think about chlorophyll-rich vegetables like spirulina, chlorella, moringa, and dark kale. These aren't just nutrient-dense. They contain specific compounds that directly stimulate what is called hematopoietic stem cell proliferation. That is the production of stem cells in your bone marrow. Spirulina in particular has been studied extensively. A study published in the Journal of Medicinal Food found that phycocyanin, the blue-green pigment in spirulina, significantly increased stem cell mobilization from bone marrow. What does mobilization mean? It means those stem cells stop sitting dormant and actually enter your bloodstream where they can do their job. Consuming 1 to 2 teaspoons of spirulina powder in a morning smoothie every single day for 30 days is one of the most impactful things you can add to your routine. Chlorella does something slightly different. It binds to heavy metals and toxins in your gut and removes them. This matters more than people realize, because a toxic gut environment suppresses stem cell activity. When you clean that environment up, stem cell function improves almost immediately. Think of it like this. Your stem cells are the firefighters, and a toxic gut is like having roadblocks all over the city. Chlorella clears those roadblocks. Now let's talk about blueberries. I want to spend a real moment here, because the research on blueberries and stem cells is some of the most exciting I have come across in recent years. Blueberries are loaded with a compound called pterostilbene, a close relative of resveratrol, but actually more bioavailable, meaning your body absorbs and uses it more efficiently. Pterostilbene activates a pathway in your cells called SIRT1, which is one of your longevity genes. When SIRT1 is activated, it directly increases the production and survival of neural stem cells and endothelial progenitor cells, which are the stem cells responsible for rebuilding your blood vessels. Harvard researchers studying cardiovascular regeneration found that consistent blueberry consumption over several weeks measurably increased endothelial progenitor cell counts in participants. These are the cells that repair the lining of your arteries when they get damaged. Think about what that means for your long-term cardiovascular health. Beyond that, blueberries reduce oxidative stress in the bone marrow itself. Oxidative stress in the bone marrow is one of the primary reasons stem cell production declines with age. 1 cup of fresh or frozen blueberries per day is the target. Frozen actually retains the pterostilbene content extremely well, so don't feel like you need to spend extra on fresh berries. The next one is something that surprises people every time I bring it up, and that is intermittent fasting combined with specific refeeding foods. Now stay with me here because fasting isn't exactly a food, but the combination of a short fast followed by eating certain foods creates a stem cell surge that you simply cannot replicate any other way. Here is the science. When you fast for 16 to 18 hours, your body begins a process called autophagy. It starts recycling old damaged cells. Then when you break that fast, especially when you break it with foods rich in specific growth factors and nutrients, your stem cells respond by proliferating aggressively. It is essentially a feast and famine signal that your biology evolved to respond to over hundreds of thousands of years. The specific food I recommend breaking your fast with is bone broth combined with collagen-rich protein. Bone broth contains glycine, proline, and glutamine, amino acids that directly support the bone marrow niche where stem cells live and develop. When you flood the body with these amino acids right after a period of fasting-induced autophagy, you are essentially handing your bone marrow a full construction crew right when it is ready to build. Do this 3 to 4 times per week, and you will feel the difference within the first 2 weeks. People always report that their joint pain decreased, their skin started looking better, and their energy in the afternoon stopped crashing. All of that is consistent with improved stem cell activity and better tissue repair. I also want to talk about something that most people in the health and fitness space are not discussing enough, and that is the role of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA, in stem cell membrane health. Every cell in your body is surrounded by a membrane made largely of fat. The quality of that fat determines how well the cell communicates with its environment, how efficiently it receives signals, and how long it survives. Stem cells are no different. When your diet is high in inflammatory omega-6 fats, which most people's diets are because of processed seed oils, and low in omega-3s, your stem cells become less responsive, less mobile, and more likely to die prematurely. Fatty fish like wild-caught salmon, sardines, and mackerel are your best dietary sources of DHA. The research is clear. People who consume fatty fish at least 3 times per week have measurably higher endothelial progenitor cell counts and better stem cell mobilization markers in their blood. If you are not a fish person, a high-quality algae-based DHA supplement is the next best thing. However, if you can get the real food, always choose the real food. Sardines are honestly one of the most underrated superfoods on the planet. They are cheap, sustainable, loaded with omega-3s, and are one of the cleanest fish you can eat because they are so low on the food chain. Let's talk about green tea, specifically matcha. Matcha contains a compound called EGCG, or epigallocatechin gallate, which has been shown in multiple studies to enhance the proliferation of hematopoietic stem cells and to protect stem cells from DNA damage. DNA damage is one of the most critical threats to stem cell function, because once a stem cell's DNA is compromised, it either becomes dysfunctional or it simply dies. EGCG acts as a powerful antioxidant inside the bone marrow microenvironment, essentially shielding your stem cells from the kind of oxidative damage that accumulates every day from environmental exposure, stress, and normal metabolic processes. 1 cup of high-quality matcha per day, not the heavily sweetened latte versions, but just clean matcha whisked in hot water, gives you a therapeutic dose of EGCG. Make it part of your morning routine. It also has a beautiful clean energy that doesn't spike and crash the way coffee can. Now I have to talk about a food that is almost criminally underutilized, and that is black seed oil, known as Nigella sativa. The research on black seed oil and stem cells coming out of the Middle East and parts of Europe is genuinely remarkable. The active compound thymoquinone has been shown to stimulate bone marrow stem cell production, enhance immune stem cell differentiation, and reduce the inflammatory signals that suppress stem cell activity. There is a reason black seed oil has been used medically for over 3,000 years. We are finally catching up with the science to explain why it works. Take half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of cold-pressed black seed oil daily. You can mix it into a smoothie, drizzle it on food, or just take it straight. It has a strong, slightly bitter, peppery flavor, so most people find it easiest to take it straight and chase it with something. Give it 2 weeks before you judge it. I have had patients who started taking black seed oil as part of a broader protocol, and reported improvements in energy, respiratory health and recovery that genuinely surprised even me. I also want to touch on the role of vitamin D3. While this isn't technically a food, the foods that contain it deserve mention here. Egg yolks from pasture-raised hens, fatty fish and beef liver are all meaningful dietary sources of D3. Vitamin D3 is not just a vitamin, it is a hormone that directly regulates stem cell differentiation and survival. Research published in Stem Cells and Development found that vitamin D deficiency significantly impairs hematopoietic stem cell function, while optimal D3 levels promote stem cell self-renewal. Self-renewal is critical. That is the ability of a stem cell to divide and produce more stem cells, rather than just differentiating into a specific tissue. Beef liver specifically is something I recommend, because it contains not just D3 but also folate, B12, copper, and iron, all of which are essential cofactors in the biochemical pathways that support stem cell production. If you can eat a small portion of high-quality beef liver once or twice a week, you are covering more nutritional bases in one food than almost anything else I could recommend. While we are talking about nutrient density, I want to bring up pomegranate juice, specifically the whole fruit or cold-pressed juice without added sugar. Pomegranate contains urolithins, which are compounds produced when pomegranate polyphenols interact with your gut bacteria. Urolithins activate mitophagy, the process by which your cells clear out old damaged mitochondria and replace them with new healthy ones. This matters deeply for stem cells, because stem cells are extremely metabolically sensitive. When their mitochondria are healthy, they function optimally. When mitochondrial quality drops, stem cell function drops with it. A small glass of pure pomegranate juice, 3 to 4 times per week, or eating the actual fruit regularly, provides consistent support for this mitochondrial renewal process inside your stem cells. Now I want to bring this all together for you because I know that hearing a list of individual foods is one thing, but understanding how to build a daily protocol is another. Over the course of 30 days, here is what this actually looks like in practice. In the morning you break your overnight fast, ideally after 14 to 16 hours, with a smoothie that contains spirulina, a handful of frozen blueberries, and a source of clean protein. You have a cup of matcha, either with that or shortly after. Throughout the week you are eating wild-caught fatty fish at least 3 times. You are including bone broth or a collagen-rich protein source on the days when you do your longer fasting windows. You are getting black seed oil daily. You are eating egg yolks regularly and trying to get liver in at least once a week. You are finishing your day with something like pomegranate juice, or a handful of fresh berries with a small amount of high-quality dark chocolate, which, by the way, also contains flavonoids that support endothelial progenitor cell function. None of this is extreme. None of this requires you to upend your entire life. It is a series of consistent, intentional choices stacked together over 30 days. Here is what happens when you do this consistently. Your body starts to shift. The stem cells in your bone marrow become more active. More of them enter your bloodstream. Your body's repair mechanisms start running at a higher capacity. People report better sleep, faster recovery from workouts, improvements in skin quality, reduction in joint discomfort, and better mental clarity. These aren't random anecdotal benefits. They are exactly what you would expect to experience when your body's regenerative capacity increases. Your biology is not fixed, it is responsive. It is listening to every single thing you put into your mouth. One final thing before I let you go, and this is important. Everything I have talked about today works synergistically with your sleep. All of the stem cell proliferation signals we have discussed, the sirtuin activation, the autophagy, the bone marrow stimulation are amplified during deep sleep. If you are eating all the right foods but sleeping only 5 hours a night, you are leaving the majority of the benefit on the table. 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep is not a luxury in this context. It is mechanistically necessary for stem cell activity to reach its full potential. So give your body the foods it needs, and then give it the rest it needs to actually use them. If this information gave you a new perspective on what food can actually do inside your body, I would really appreciate it if you showed your support for this research. We are going deep on topics like this every single week. Tell me in the comments which of these foods you are going to start with first. Take care of your body because it is the only place you have to live.